Good evening, folks. Welcome along to your Rangers Rabble Network women's show on a Monday evening at 6:30. My name's Brian, and I'm joined by the gang. Car, how are we?
Yeah, a bit better than yesterday after the game, but yeah, all right.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Yeah, I can imagine just the expletives would have been pouring out of you at full time. Demi,
Just
how are we?
alive.
Demi, how are we?
I'm a wee bit tired, but apart from that, I'm all right. Brian, yourself?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. Yep, not bad. Wolf, how are we? You're on mute.
Because I forgot to mute myself at the start. Yeah, okay, I guess, but yeah, we'll get into it. But yesterday afternoon could have been a lot better. It started off particularly well, and then Rangers did what Rangers do against them at Broadwood, I guess.
Absolutely. So, Car, sum us up the feeling at 90 minutes after the 1-1 draw against Celtic.
Just a massive missed opportunity. We had the opportunity to go and absolutely batter them in the first half. We could have been 3-4-0 by half time, and we sat off them as we always do at Broadwood for some reason when we're winning, and we gave them the opportunity to get back into it. It's just the same old story at Broadwood for some reason. We've never beaten them there. It's always been a draw or what have you. So just is what it is. Hopefully we can move next season and we'll fix that.
It's a bit of a conundrum, Demi, isn't it? You can't quite put your finger on it. It's a reoccurring theme. It's not a one-off. They just, for some reason, it's just not possible for them to get a result at Broadwood, is it?
Yeah, and I don't really understand it. It's not like, we've just moved to Broadwood. We've been there a couple of seasons now. So, we play there every home game. We play there, bar the, maybe 2 a year that get moved to Ibrox. So it's very bizarre. But that being said, they're struggling to beat us anywhere this season. So that's probably, helped us a bit yesterday. Because, sort of towards the end, there was only one team that looked like scoring, and it wasn't us. So thankfully, they just can't beat us this season, because if they could, would have been in trouble, I think.
Yeah, and Wolf, as we all said, the last time we were on, beating them at Broadwood isn't for some reason in our repertoire. We kind of thought after the cup final and results after that things might change, but it's almost like deja vu, isn't it?
Well, the problem this season, apart from that, is we can't beat any of the other top sides anywhere. You know what I mean? In the league, we destroyed Hibs in the cup final, haven't beaten the league yet.
Yeah.
So next Sunday, which I know we'll touch on towards the end, that's going to be absolutely pivotal. Before that, we've obviously got Glasgow City at Peters Hill on Wednesday. You know what I mean? I haven't beaten them this season either. You know what I mean? So, and we just can't beat Celtic at Broadwood, full stop, period. You know what I mean? It's bizarre. I mean, I think scoring early yesterday was the worst thing we could have done, because we just scored and seemed to sat on it. I don't understand why, once we score against them, we seem to sit on it. I mean, I know we'll get to the way the game panned out, but Kirsty Howit's shot that came off the post, Black goes in. Not only is it, as Carl said before we went live, an all-time worldie. You know what I mean? That wins us a game. Go 2-0 up against them. They won't score 2 against us. But I just don't know. I'd love to know why we can't beat them at Broadwood. We can beat them anywhere else. We'll beat them at Airdrie. We'll beat them at Hamilton. We'll beat them at Hampden. Just can't beat them at Broadwood. Beat them at Ibrox. Just can't beat them at Broadwood. You know what I mean?
It's very strange. Well, maybe we have to get a voodoo doctor in, maybe do something at Broadwood. I don't know. Sniper 27 months, a member. Thank you very much. Evening, Car, Brian, Demi, and Wolf. Yes. So I mean, when you look at the team, guys, you have Fife and goals, Doherty, Hill, Eddie at the back, the usual sort of four. Then you've got Lizzie Arnott, Kirsty McLean, Chelsea Cornett, and Camille Lefebvre with Katie Wilkinson, Kirsty Howitt, and Brogan Hay. I mean, it was pretty much a team that you would expect, Car, wasn't it? It was nothing, no surprises at all, was there?
I mean, other than maybe the four and then who would start up front, but pretty much the strongest team we've got at the moment. Everyone's fit and firing, so you expected it to be that way. And nobody that I spoke to before the game was angry about any of the selections. It made sense, top to bottom. So, yeah, it was fine.
Yeah, I mean, Demi, it's it's almost a case of it's copy and paste week in, week out, isn't it? We've done really well recently, and there's been no reason to change anything, has there?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing, we said it even, when we're coming away, 4-5-0 wins. Why with that midfield, it doesn't work as well as you hoped, because playing any at CDM is just pointless. I mean, in recent games, Innie's basically been at centre back. Now, Innie's probably one of our most attacking midfielders, by the wingers. So, maybe you play her somewhere more attacking, but when we play her with Chelsea and Camille, she doesn't, she's always just a holding midfielder. It doesn't really seem to work, even when we win games. But yeah, I mean, we can't really say that we're too shocked, because it's been working of late with that, sort of same squad, bar the rotation of strikers.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. I mean, Rio's not been getting a run, Wolf, and she was doing really well. Excuse me, for a while, but the former Kirsty Howitt's just forced the hand of the manager, and Kirsty's got the jersey, hasn't she?
Yeah, but it's weird. It's weird that obviously Curtis deserves the jersey, but it's weird that she started Wilco with her yesterday, because Wilco was sitting really deep. Wilco's a striker and nothing else. I mean, if you're going to play the two of them, you have to play Wilco as a striker and Kirsty behind her. You can't do it the other way around. It doesn't work. Wilco going deep for the ball, for me, doesn't work. And I mean, Wilco was basically playing in midfield for half of the game. I mean, okay, I only saw it on the telly. It maybe looked a bit different actually at the game, but she just seemed to be dropping deep all the time. She was very rarely in an attacking position. And Kirsty thrives in that sort of position. So, you know what I mean? For me, if you're going to play Kirsty Howard as the main striker, you have to start Rio alongside her or just behind her, because she's better in that position. Because she's more mobile than Wilco. I love Wilco a bit, scores loads and loads of goals, but Rio's more mobile than her, really, to be doing that sort of job. So, I mean, having said that, I had no problem at all with the team selection. I mean, that should have been good enough to beat them and beat them well. It's just this Broadwood thing.
Yeah, it really is. And of course, as you said, Car, it didn't take very long, 9 minutes. Rangers run the score sheet down the left-hand side. I believe it was this, I can't remember the Celtic defender's name, but it was a poor, I don't know what they were doing. It was like they stuck out their leg and kind of hoped they would get rid of it, and it just fell kindly to Kirsty Howitt, and wow, what a finish into the top corner.
Oh, stunning goal. I mean, that's what Kirsty offers you, and that's why I like it when she'll take shots from outside the box. I mean, I don't think she was going to let that falter and then run forward towards the goal and put it in the back of the net. So I appreciate that she didn't do that. But stunning goal. But as we've all said, probably a little bit too early, because then we kind of sat back. But I mean, that'll be on a highlight reel for Kirsty for years to come, and it should be in goal of the season contender if they hadn't already announced the goal of the season contenders. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal finish.
Yeah, Demi, it was again, the ball came across her, which is not an easy technique. Especially she side-footed that. It was not as though she put her laces through it. So side-footing it and the ball coming across her is really a tricky sort of skill to do. But I mean, she just drilled it in that top corner, and the goal. I don't know why the goalkeeper even tried to save, because there was no point, was there?
No, I mean, when we were watching on the TV, I was at Dad's house, and I literally said to him, I was like, I don't even know why she's bothered to die for that, because she's just embarrassed herself, especially the time that she tried to, she tried to die for it after the ball was like already in the net. So it was stupid. It made her look like an idiot, which I'm sure she is, but it made her look like one. And two, it was just far too late. So yeah, it wasn't great. But I mean, look, Kirsty can do that, especially under pressure. Kirsty is quite good at scoring, goals when she doesn't have time to think about it. So I can't say I'm shocked.
No. And Wolf, high hopes after that goal, isn't there? Because you scored early. They were doing really well in that sort of opening period. The front foot was down. You're kind of hoping, like, after that, get that early goal. And, Kirsty delivered dutifully, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. And then, as we said earlier, a bit after that, she rattled one off the post, which would have been an even better goal. She said herself in her post-match interview, they said, great strike. She said, yeah, but the one that didn't go in would have been better.
Yeah.
And if that one goes in, game's done. But it just seemed to be, she hit the post, and we just sat back after that. It was just as well, whether they thought it's going to be one of those days that doesn't go in, we're only going to get one, we better not concede. which Carl said in another podcast, we always concede against them. We just, when we're playing them, we kind of keep Wales out of close. We're always letting in goals against them, and it's stupid goals. They don't score good goals again. The goal they got yesterday was decent, but it was too easy for them. But we'll get to that. The reasons it was too easy for them. But we had the foot in the throat. We stopped again. We do it all the time against them. We either give them a lead and we struggle to get back into it, or we put our foot in the throat and then we don't capitalise on the possession and we sit back and lose a goal. I don't know. Keep going on. It's a Broadwood thing, and I don't know. I'd love to know why it only happens at Broadwood, and it only happens at Broadwood against them. Because it's not like we can't win at Broadwood. You know what I mean?
No. I mean, Carl, as you said before we started, 4-0 wouldn't have been too wide of a mark of a goal score or a goal. The score at half time. I mean, Camille Fay had one where Bronte dinked it in and she couldn't get it out of her feet, and then eventually she got it down and the goalkeeper saved it. And then Kirsty Wilkinson, same thing, inside the box, gets away, can't get away from her feet. It just seemed to be, it just wasn't landing for the strikers or the midfielders where they wanted it. They just couldn't shift it out of their feet, could they?
No, or Kirsty put a few high and wide, and Wilco did the same thing, and service wasn't great, to be honest. Like, Leslie had an opportunity. I think one of them's in the highlights, but there was a couple where she's in acres of space and she could just hit it, but takes a couple of touches and then ends up losing the ball because they were defending for their lives at that point. But our strikers have no issue scoring, so I don't know what it is about games. Like, I don't know if emotions get too high and they want it too much, and then they start snatching at things, and that's when they go high and wide and off the post, and it doesn't happen. But we should have been out of sight, and I think they knew that because we really were in the ascendancy. There was so much space opening up. We were playing some decent football, quick passing, a few overhit, which was getting the crowd a little bit frustrated. But we should have been, and we just can't do it for some reason.
Brian, John Weir hits on a very, very good point here. The amount of niggly wee fouls that they had that were getting away with. That's their game when they play us. They know we're a better football side, so they do the niggly wee fouls. And we fall into it. I mean, it was in the chat earlier that when it starts getting physical, we just fall right into the trap. We just let them do it. You know what I mean? Look at Liv's booking, right? That was stupid because she was trying to rile them up. Just ignore them. You know what I mean? I mean, Liv's booking, for me, she shouldn't be booked for what she did, but it was ridiculous. She got tangled into trying to noise up the Celtic number 2, whatever her name is, and getting a yellow card for it. And because she get the yellow card when they attacked the leg for the goal, she couldn't put in a challenge because she got it wrong. She was off. So ultimately, that daft yellow card cost us a goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because
they get drawn into their niggly fouls, and it happens all the time.
I mean, if it was purely a football match, skill and whatnot, I don't think there'd be a contest card, would there? Because we're a far better football team.
We absolutely are, and I think they're fans of that, considering only about 15 of them showed up yesterday. I mean, I don't know if it is just purely emotions, and obviously we hate them. We don't like them. Most of the team hate them, so I think they do get sucked into that, and it just becomes easy then to start shoving and doing stupid stuff. But there's a moment in the first half where Camille gets smashed in the face by one of their defenders, ends up bleeding. I don't know if you've seen the picture. She's bleeding. Should have been a penalty because it's a handball, and then the same hand that the ball hits Camille in the face, which again is a foul in the box, so should have been a penalty. But the ref takes forever to blow the whistle and actually stop it. They nearly run down the other end and score.
He didn't stop it, did he? Did he not? They put a shot away and he gave a corner, and then he went to see if Camille was okay.
It's a head knock, so it should have been stopped. But that was a level of official yesterday. He was all over the place, and for both sides. I'm not saying that he was corrupt. I'm saying he was awful.
Yeah,
I mean, I have to agree with the handball, but disagree with the coming together. I thought it was just a coming together. We Camille watching it live on the telly. Might be different in the game, as I say, but watching it on the telly, it just looked like they sort of came together. The ball definitely hit the lassie's arm, so either way, it's a penalty. You know what I mean? And he's got to stop the play. Camille's lying there bleeding.
Yeah.
It's not as if she's just lying, holding her face, which he should be stopping it anyway. There's blood pouring out of her cheek. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Yeah,
absolutely. And as you spoke, Demi, not long ago about the chance, it's a really good team move. It started deep I think Nick Dock picked it up and launched it over to Katie Wilkinson. Katie Wilkinson laid off to Brogan, and then it fell to Kirsty again. And as she said, in the post match, it was it would have been a better goal than their first one. As soon as it left her boot, I thought it was going in. I really did.
Yeah, me too. I think if she tried to pick the same spot as her first goal, she kind of just misjudged it a wee bit. But a little bit more power on it, it'd have hit the post, and who knows where the ball would have sort of landed, or whose feet it would have landed at. But yeah, you can't really fault Kirsty. I don't think she was taking the shots that no one else was taking. I mean, Wilco was on the park, and from memory, I could be wrong, but from memory, I can remember one that she took, and it was that wee half volley in the box that she put over. So Kirsty's taking shots and chances that the other strikers aren't. So fair play to her.
Yeah. And then half-time, Wolf 1-0. I dare say as Cars just sort of reiterated, the 1-0 was satisfactory, but as the report card used to often say in my school, could do better. We could have been more ahead. Again, we've said it so many times, though, haven't we? When you're on top, it doesn't matter what game you're playing, you've got to take advantage of the period of time that you're on top, because that's not always going to happen, is it?
No, it's not. But then we come out, and all you need to do is come out and keep doing the same as you were doing. And we come out and just try and hold the lead. We slow the game right down. We try to keep hold of what we've got. And then just after an hour, we'll make substitutions, which I'm always very sceptical of substitutions after about an hour, because I think, generally speaking, they're probably planned. And I don't think you can pre-plan substitutions. But I mean, taking Brogan off was mental, I think. I don't often criticise what Joe does, but Brogan was having a great game. Lizzie wasn't seeing much of the ball, wasn't doing much with it. So if you're taking off one of your wingers, surely you take Lizzie off. You don't take Brogan off the game that she's having. You know what I mean? In my opinion. Mia came on and for me didn't really do a lot, but she was starved the service. But I mean, I get putting Rio on for Wilco for reasons I mentioned earlier, because obviously Wilco's not back. It's not really her game. Rio could do that. Live for Camille. Fair enough. Camille's had a sore one in the face, as we talked about. She soldiered on for another wee while. Liv's come on, but Liv gets drawn into it. I mean, I know she's only young and she'll learn, but she gets drawn. As I say, she gets drawn into it with a fullback, which got her a booking, which meant she couldn't put in a tackle to stop their attack. But the one that really mystified me was Brogan. I've got no problem with Mia coming on, but Brogan getting taken off when she's having the game that she's having, particularly because she always plays well against them. You know what I mean? I don't get that substitution. That to me just showed that we're trying to hold on to what we had, and we can't do that against them.
Yeah, I mean, just after their mark, as you mentioned, there was a triple sub made. It seemed to spark the game into life, because there was 5 bookings in that second half. The lead up to the goal, Demi, we've got the ball in the midfield. There's 3 of us around the ball. I think there's 1 or maybe 2 Celtic players around it, and they somehow muscle their way out with the ball. And before you know it, there's a pass through to the winger. I think it was Lawton, is it? She cuts it back, and Amy Gallagher's got the easiest of jobs, isn't she? Just thanks very much.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was one of our first touches, putting the ball in the back of the net. So that was unfortunate, but that'll be, sort of a goal to remember for her. That's one thing they seem to have. They're not better than us in terms of skill, but I think physically they're stronger than us. Our players can be pushed off the ball quite easy by them. Obviously, that's their game. Go in, play it dirty. And in regards to the yellow cards, yes, some of them were stupid, but it's quite refreshing to see, an Old Firm where there's actually multiple bookings. Because, in both men's and women's for the last few seasons, there's been 1 or 2. No Old Firm game should have 1 or 2 bookings. Mm-hmm. So it was quite refreshing to see that, it got a bit feistier in that second half.
Absolutely. And Car, the most notable part, I think, of the second half was when Rio got stuck in. I can't remember who she was. I think it was your pal. She got a booking for a bit of pushing and shoving, but there's not enough of that I've felt for a long time. There's not enough of this streetwise. I'm not saying nasty, but you know what I mean. A bit of toughness about us. There's just that side's just been missing. I think they're quite, as long as they're winning and scoring goals and everything's fine, I think everything's okay. But the minute things start to go a little bit awry, we just don't seem to be able to roll our sleeves up and get stuck in, do we?
Well, we do, and then we don't get away with it, and then we end up with stupid yellow cards. I mean, Rio is known for it. That since the moment she came in the club, any game against them, she's always in and about it. I honestly, I think she hates them more than Kirsty Howitt for some reason. I don't know what it is, but she genuinely does. But there should have been bookings in the first half, and I genuinely think the ref forgot that he could do that. And then the second half, he really just went a bit bonkers with things that basically happened in the first half that he let away with. So then they're probably thinking, that's fine, we can do that. And then he's throwing cards about. But we're just better at football, so we should just be playing football instead of getting sucked into that nonsense. But they got away with a lot more than we did. I had the stat, but I didn't write it down. They had more fouls and less yellow cards than we had, which it's just the way that it works. But had we done our job and played football, it wouldn't have mattered at the end of the day. But it just is what it is.
But Brian, the referee, see that incident you're talking about with Rio Hardy, right? The referee got it completely wrong. I mean, this car says we shouldn't get drawn into that because we're a better football team than them. That's what we were talking about earlier. You know, get drawn into the niggly parts of the game. It's all very well to hate them and get torn in when you have to, but we just need to out football them. But that Rio incident ended up with Rio getting booked and whatever her name is that plays with them that just come off the bench, right? But the one that instigated it was that Ashford Clifford, who was already on a yellow card. He's the only one that raised her hands in that incident. That's a yellow card, right? She's already on a yellow card, so she's got to get sent off. And the referee completely ignored it because it was hopeless. It was just, you know what I mean, just ridiculous. I just don't get. I don't see any way he couldn't. He took the easy option out of the two players that are standing beside each other. I'll just book them. That's fine. But you've got to also book the person that starts it all, which is the lassie Clifford for them, who's on a yellow card, so she's got to walk. And that probably wouldn't have affected the game yesterday because it was late on in the game, right? But that would mean she's suspended for their next game. Mm-hmm. She's quite a pivotal player for them, I believe. You know what I mean? So they would miss her in the next game. So it all kind of builds up onto itself. But as Carl said earlier, the referee was honking, just hopeless.
Going back. Sorry, you go.
I'm not even sure he was old enough to be a qualified referee, to be fair.
I mean, Carl, you were saying earlier.
Out of school, to be fair.
Yeah, you were saying earlier about the fouls and cards. I mean, we had 7 fouls to 2 cards, and they had 13 fouls to 3 cards. So, you know, it's yeah. I mean, even chances, you're looking at 4 shots on target for us, 7 off, 2 on target for them, 2 off for them. So, you know, the majority of the game was us, as always. It usually is. I mean, Demi, there's. I know they said after the international break they came back and they had a team meeting and everything felt like it was sorted out, wasn't it? Remember they came back and they had a few home truths and stuff. But this Celtic at Broadwood starting to sort of rear its ugly head every time, isn't it?
I mean, of late though, it's not even just been, you know, sort of when we play them at Broadwood. I mean, just going back to, you know, sort of to the turn of the year, you know, Hibs bet us. You know, we at least took a point off them at Petershill. Very recently, Hearts, we struggled to get a point off of Hearts. We've beat them at the Orion. There was someone else, was it Glasgow City, I believe, just after Hibs, or just before Hibs, I can't remember who it was. But you know, it's not just been that lot at Broadwood. It's been, you know, sort of any game against one of the top, like one of the, you know, harder to beat teams, we're struggling to beat at Broadwood. So I don't really know, you know, sort of what it is or what's going on, but there must be some sort of curse on Broadwood since, you know, sort of the turn of the end of last year, the turn of the year.
Yeah, certainly so. So just go through the other games. Dundee United 3, Partick Thistle 4, Queen's Park 0, Montrose 0, Glasgow City 4, Motherwell 0, Aberdeen 2, Spartans 4, and Hibs 1, Hearts 2. Wolf, was that I'm not saying a shock, but was that a surprise result in the capital?
Well, it was a little bit, yeah, and at least not in the capital apparently. But anyway, that's just Carol at the door. Yeah, it was. It was a pleasant. We were keeping an eye on it at Pittodrie, and it was a pleasant, pleasant way for their game to finish when Hearts, because Hibs took the lead, then for Hearts turned it around. That makes our draw even more galling. I mean, at one point, because obviously we were watching it, you would have been on your way home and Carl would have been at the game, but we were sitting watching it on Alba, and they put the live table up. We were sitting top of the league, and everything's looking great. We'll be top of the league, City second, Hibs are third. Everything's looking great, and then all of a sudden, Celtic score and we're third. Okay, there's only a point in it. I know the goal difference is mental compared to the rest of them, but the fact that what we're looking for Hearts to do us a favour, Hearts did us a favour, and then we didn't do ourselves a favour. That's galling. You know what I mean? That's now put us behind the 8 ball. The next 2 games away to Glasgow City, away to Hibs, they're now must-win games. Whereas if we'd won yesterday, we could possibly get away with drawing one of them in the whole shake-up. Because we won yesterday, Celtic out the picture.
I think that might help us, sort of last season, about this time we were coasting clear on points, goal difference miles ahead. And then, it was almost as if we thought we had won it. And then, everything kind of just collapsed and nightmares happened. So, I think it's almost, not better, obviously, because obviously you always want to be top of the league. But I think comparing it to the time of the season and the position of when we cracked last season, I think it might be beneficial for us to not be sitting top right now, because it's like, look, where we need to be, it's not where we are, it's where they need to be. And I think in this women's team, it just seems to be, if we come from behind, we'll win, but if we are coasting top, we won't. So I'm kind of almost glad that we didn't go top yesterday.
So what you're saying then is it's better to chase than be chased?
Well, I mean, going by last season, yeah, because, I mean, look what happened. So I feel like, it's hopefully, but with the last couple seasons, hopefully it's how it's proven to be.
You agree, Car?
No. The year that we did win the league, we ran away with it. And at that point, me and Laura and that kept looking at each other and, don't get too excited. And we were miles clear and we were worried about it. And then the last few seasons, we've been on top and then messed it up. But I don't know. Better to be, these 2 games will paint a picture. If we lose both of these games, we're out of it. That's the cut and dry of it, to be honest. But we knew that the top 5 would be that way, that it would change every week, and probably good that we've got a game midweek to kind of bounce back. Not a great opponent to be doing it against, but I hope the team get a bit of fire under them now that we have to go and win these games and they get it done, rather than, as Demi says, coasting and thinking they can take the foot off a little bit. So maybe it is, but I don't agree, no.
So here's a question for you all, Brian, and I'll start with you. Here's a question for you all, and I'll start with you, right? Wednesday night we play Glasgow City. Obviously, we're going to beat Glasgow City because we're Rangers and we win games of football, right? What would be your preferred result in the game between Celtic and Hibernian? Would you want Hibs to win to put Celtic totally out of the title race, or would you prefer Celtic to win to stop Hibs, to keep Hibs a bit further behind us because we'd go top, or a draw because it's Celtic and Hibs?
I mean, either a draw or, a win for that lot, because it doesn't matter. They're going to collapse it for themselves. Glasgow City, not Glasgow City, sorry. Hibs are not really, you can't take the Edinburgh Derby into account because it's the Edinburgh Derby. Do you know what I mean? Form goes out the window in, Derby games. So I'd say either a draw or that lot to win, because they'll collapse it for themselves.
I'm definitely want that DNA test now.
If I'm purely looking at it from a Rangers point of view, you're wanting Hibs to get beat, aren't you? Just to really put them out. Well, not put them out of the equation, but just to give us a little bit more breathing space. I don't like saying that, but
there's the better way to say it, Brian and Demi. If you want Hibs to lose, you don't want that other lot to win. You want Hibs to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like saying that, but at the same time, for the benefit of the club to win the league, I'm wanting Hibs to lose that game. So I don't like saying that, but I'm afraid that's the only way I can.
Saying Hibs to lose is fine. That's fine.
Yeah, Hibs to lose is fine. Yeah, aye. I'll say Hibs to lose because then that really dents their chances, and then it leaves us just with one team to concentrate on. Because I'm again, when you've only got one sort of contender to contend with, it's not too bad. But when you start getting two or three, the differentials and all the possibilities start going multiplying, and you don't know where things are coming from, and you're looking for results here and there. And I don't want to be doing that. I just want to be concentrating on one team to beat. So if Hibs can lose in midweek, that would be great for me personally.
Things like me, Carl, be pity they can't both lose.
Yeah, I mean, I wish they could both lose. That'd be great. A draw would probably be the ideal situation because it basically puts them out of the hopes, which they probably already are at this point, realistically. I mean, us, City and Hibs would need to lose basically the remaining games and then win them all.
Yeah.
So it is that way. But I think Hibs' wheels have kind of fell off a little bit. That might come back to bite me, but I think it has, judging by their game yesterday with Hearts. So even if Hibs do win, I still think that they're not going to end up at the top of the table, but I just don't know if we would pass them. But yeah, I'll agree with all of you that probably Hibs losing or a draw would be perfect. But we have to win. That's the main thing.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter as long as we do our job and win, as Wilf said before the game yesterday, and we didn't do it. So.
And you can carry on, Car. CGM's asking, did I miss something? Why are Hibs suddenly good this season?
Well, they were improving last season, but they got more money put into it. They recruited really well in the summer. They've gone, I believe, full professional or semi-professional, but full-time, whatever the difference is there. I'm not really sure. But yeah, they have massively improved. And I think with results elsewhere during the season, we've not been great. They've not been great. Glasgow City had a bit of a wobble. They've kind of just risen up. What did they go before yesterday? Like 13 unbeaten, 14 unbeaten or something crazy. So they've been on a run. So it's just the way that is. But then Hearts have improved too. It's just the way the league's going. It's more competitive. Teams are putting more resources into their women's team, which is good.
Yeah. Before we go on to the league table and the fixtures coming up, the last sort of bit of business that I thought would mention was the post-match comments. Demi, where'd you start with that?
I mean, we were just saying before we came on how they were relatively nice to us with the men's games, with a lot of them being on the Saturday. At the moment, because kick-off times haven't been announced, I believe the only clash is the Wednesday night game against Hearts, second last game of the season. But I'll just have to wait and see, what kick-off, because obviously the women's games, me and Dad were saying yesterday, none of them are confirmed yet. They're all saying 14:59. So just have to wait and see what happens with the women's kickoff time, see if they make it. But a lot of our games are on the Saturday, so hopefully we should be all right.
Yeah.
I had actually forgotten, Brian, that the Motherwell game was already announced as a 6 o'clock kickoff the day we play that other lot. The men's team play that other lot at lunchtime, which is fabulous for getting to it. What the hell am I going to do for 3 hours in Glasgow?
I'm sure you could find a Costa somewhere.
Even I can only drink so much coffee, though. I'm sure we'll work it out.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. But I'll stay with you, Will, for this. This was the last point I was going to make. The post-match interviews. That was quite an interesting listen, wasn't it?
Are you talking about the one from Sudoku?
Yes.
I have no idea what she was talking about. She's just trying to make herself relevant. I'm unaware of any comments that we made that were complaining about anything. Particularly, I think that was the gist of what she was saying. I didn't really particularly listen too much to what she said because I can't listen to her. Her voice just grates on me. But I believe she was saying that we were complaining and they got nothing. But she just tries to make herself relevant. And it's just I think she's really sweating over her job. Had she lost yesterday, I think her jacket was in a very, very shaky nail. And because she didn't win yesterday, her jacket's still on a shaky nail. And quite frankly, I don't really care about them. So, Joe's post-match comments are much as you'd expect them to be. To me, not beating them possibly on her tactics. I mean, she must have said something about half time about sitting in. Yet again, she didn't use all her subs. That does my head in. I mean, we're struggling. We're needing a goal. The strikers on the bench, bring them on. We bring them on with 5 or 10 minutes to go, just to shake things up and see what happens. You know what I mean? But again, she goes with 4 subs when she can use 5. I don't really understand it. Brings Laura Berry on for 6 or 7 minutes. I don't get that either. She brought her on too late. You know what I mean? As we said earlier, you know, taking Brogan off, don't understand it. But I mean, I'm not a football manager, so I don't really know. Hopefully we'll be looking back at this with the league trophy sitting in the cabinet going, well, what were you talking about? She knows what she's doing. Because I think she does know what she's doing, to be perfectly honest.
I think she does, yeah. I think she does.
I mean,
So, after the round of fixtures, Glasgow City are top on 60 points with 84 of a goal difference. Hibs are joint top with 60 of a goal difference. 1 point behind. We are third on 106 goal difference. Celtic 52 points, 64. Hearts 52 points as well, 38 goals scored, and Motherwell make up the bottom of the top 6, 32 points and minus 10. And then the fixtures for midweek, we have Hearts at home and Motherwell. We then play Rangers are away to Glasgow City. Montrose are home to Aberdeen. Spartans at home to Dundee United. Celtic at home to Hibernian. Queen's Park at home to Partick. So, Carr, another. Well, we've said this as soon as the split happened, but it's another round of fixtures which are going to be absolutely massive.
I know, it makes me laugh that the league have changed the structure for next season to avoid so many games being played, and then for some reason in April every season we end up with midweek Sunday for the longest time. But it is what it is, as long as we get the job done. But the game is at the weekend basically cemented that Dundee United will be going down.
Yeah.
To SWPL2. I know that will upset Demi greatly because she won't have a game on her doorstep. But that's the first one basically confirmed with 4 points. They can't claw it back. So that's one gone. So we'll see how the rest of them get on. But just the way that April is. But well, it's do or die, isn't it? In the next week, win the 2 games, we'll be all right.
Absolutely. And Demi, it's as Carr's just nailed it on the head there. It's do or die time. It's put up or shut up, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's no time to just, go in and have days off and rest. It's literally game train. So, we'll really see the sort of the mentality that the players have got with, 2-3 games in 7 days. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see also how Joe goes about it, because obviously not every player can play every minute, especially, with there being so many games in a week. So that'll be interesting to see how she manages players' minutes in the coming weeks.
And just as Demi's saying, rotation, we've got Glasgow City this week and then you've got Hibs next week. I mean, it's 3 massive games in a row and, the squad, not that I don't like squad rotation, as you all know, but I suppose she's got to be quite smart with this one, isn't she?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's Paul touching on it in the comments. Did Joe take Brogan off because the City game come up? I'd like to think not, but there's every chance she had that in the back of her mind. That's what I said. I said earlier. Triple substitution after just over an hour. Where they planned was it go out, give me an hour, and then take you off and rest you for Wednesday night. That could be in her mind. I'd like to think not, because like you, Brian, you've got to win the game that's in front of you. I mean, but it is. I mean, it's a 3-game week. Then it's no midweek fixture. Then we're back to midweek fixtures again. I think that's the way it's working. So it's an awful lot of games in a short space of time, and it's not the biggest squad. Fortunately, I don't think we've got any major injuries. So we should be able to use the squad. But there are some players that we're going to need on a regular basis, like for every game. Which is why the likes of yesterday, when we were on top, as Carl said earlier, put the game to bed when you're on top. Go 2 or 3 up in the first half when you're absolutely bossing a team. Then you can take off Brogan Hay because you've got a big game coming up Wednesday. You can take off Indy because you've got a big game coming up Wednesday. You can take off, potentially Nick and Kathy, because with the greatest of respect to both of them, they're not getting any younger. They can't play every game, every minute of every game, just simply because their bodies won't let them at this stage. So really, we need to be putting teams away, and it's difficult. I know it's difficult in the top 6 because the teams are playing are really good teams. I mean, I wouldn't expect us to go 2 or 3 up against City, but if we could, that would be great, and then you can start making changes looking forward to Hibs. But you can't look past the game in front of you until you're a couple of goals up, particularly the way we defend. So it's difficult, but yeah, you're right. We'll have to use the squad very, very wisely.
Now, Carr, I think I think I'll pretty much agree with what you're going to say to this, but will Berry start versus City wide left? She's a striker.
I know, but I think he's saying that because in the Hearts game, when she was brought on, she started. Well, she played there. I wouldn't start her there though. When we've got Brogan, we've got Mia, we've got Lizzie. You know, we've got options. So I wouldn't be doing that. I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, this sounds mental me saying this, but I probably wouldn't start her in general against City because that's crazy to throw her in the deep end at that. You know, I'd almost rather she did Rio and Wilco and then Kirsty in behind if we want to go back to that and then actually play with width. But what Joe will do, I don't know, but I wouldn't be doing that. No.
Very much so. Very much so. So, as I said, folks, we have Wednesday, the 16th April, at home, away to Glasgow City. We're then away on the weekend to Hibernian, and Glasgow City are at home to Hearts. So again, it's just game after game after game. But we will be back next Monday.
Brian, both our games on BBC Alba, so we're getting good practice on Gaelic after yesterday as well. You know, I mean, that's three in a row on BBC Alba.
Well, I mean? the guy could speak for hours on days on Alba, and I'll still not pick up anything that he's saying.
I'm assuming they've only got one presenter that can speak Gaelic because the guy at the start of the you wouldn't have seen it, but at the start of the program, he ran onto the pitch and took the microphone because he'd been at the Edinburgh Derby and he'd run off the pitch, leaving the microphone. So they made it kind of look, because Carol said to me that he left the Edinburgh Derby running off to the side, and he just left the co-presenter or summarising whatever with the microphone. So he ran on to make it look as if it was the same as that in a different state, in a different ground. So he's clearly the only guy they've got that can present and commentate in Gaelic. I don't really know. But before we go, it's remiss of you not to talk about the Player of the Year nominations, which I've got in front of me. So, because I knew you would miss it, so I've got them in front of me. So we've still got a bit of time.
I wasn't going to mention it because when is the actual event?
27th of April, and the votes are available. You can vote now for it. It's on the website. The link's on the website. And the Player of the Year nominations, Demi, are Wilco, Liv McLaughlin, Cathy Hill, Leah Eddy, and Brogan Hay. What do you think of the nominations for our Player of the Year?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, we didn't really have too many complaints. It's a wee bit. Who was I shocked? Who was I shocked by? There was someone I was shocked by that wasn't in there. I can't remember. Kirsty Howard, maybe. I think it was Kirsty Howard. I was a bit shocked. The amount of goals that she's been scoring, especially recently. It's the ball she does off the work she does off the ball. I was a wee bit shocked that she wasn't in there, but other than that, I've not really had too many complaints for that one.
Brian, what's your take on the nominations? Anybody missing? Anybody you don't think should be in there?
No, I don't. Apart from Kirsty, maybe, but I mean, there's a runaway winner, isn't there? Let's be honest. There's only one winner going to win that, isn't there?
There isn't. And Car, I know, having listened to your other podcast, that you've got a bit of I wouldn't say an issue, but you're a bit surprised that Liv's in there, given that she's in the Young Player of the Year, which we'll get to.
Yeah, I just don't think it's fair that she gets the opportunity to be in both. What if she wins both of them? Yeah. That's a bit unfair on the other lassies that have played their hearts out this season. It's a bit bizarre, but.
So anyway, Brian, the Young Player of the Year nominations are Jodie McCleary, Kirsty McLean, Olivia McLaughlin, and Laura Berry. I'm not even going to ask her because she'll say Laura Berry. Although she won't really. I know she won't because I've listened to another podcast. I'm being facetious. I know she won't. I mean, Laura Berry for me, Brian, is a funny one because she's not been here half the season.
No.
You can't really take into account what she did at Motherwell for the Rangers Young Player of the Year.
No. Going by that list, it's Liv McLaughlin, isn't it? She had a really strong a strong start to the season, towards the middle of the season, she was really quite pivotal because, Chelsea Cornet was injured for a good while and she filled in admirably and she was a tremendous cog in that midfield. So yeah, she was getting goals and assists and yeah, I think I'd be very surprised if Liv doesn't win that.
Demi, do you agree with Brian, or is there any Young Player of the Year nominees missing? Really Maycroft that you can really put in there, but
I think I said Mia. I thought I said Mia was going to win it when it first came out. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because I think there was the sort of the debate was between Mia and Innie, and I think obviously they've both had injuries, but I think Innie's had she's been out a bit longer than Mia, so I think it'll go to Mia, but I don't know.
And Car, what do you? I know you don't think Laura Berry because of the Motherwell thing, because she was out on loan half the season, so
She can win it next year. I think I agree with Demi. I think it probably should be Mia. But then it's a popularity vote, isn't it, really? So people probably will vote for Innie just purely based on that. But I think Mia deserves it. Laura can win it next year, but she needs to be here a full season and actually be able to play most of the games for us.
We'll replay this to you next year when Laura's in for the main player of the year and the young player of the year. You're voting for her on both. Well, wait a minute, I thought I wasn't allowed to win both.
After Laura scored 50 goals for the season.
I'm busy
and Brian, the Car touched on it earlier that Kirsty's goal yesterday should possibly be in the running for goal of the season, right? But there's a list of, I don't know if you've seen the list, but there's a list of 5 goals for goal of the season, right? I've only written down one of them because it's going to win it absolutely hands down, and it's Chelsea Cornet against the Beasts. Sorry, I shouldn't call them that on a live podcast. Sorry, against that team from the East End. Apologies.
Yeah. I mean, there's been several contenders, isn't there?
Well, three of the goals are against them. One's against Hearts and one's another one. But Chelsea's against them is the goal of any season because it was an absolute screamer.
Yeah.
Well, no, it was just yesterday.
Yeah. Well, the way she flicked it round the defender and then just waited for it to sit up and then volleyed it. It was a tremendous finish. I mean, the only one I can think of that maybe could be contender is, I think, was it Lives away Aberdeen? That volley that she did. I mean, but hands down, I think the Chelsea one against Celtic's the hands down one. The way she, as I say, she flicked it round the goalie and waited for it to sit up and then just lashed it in the goal. I think that's easily the hands down goal of the season. Yeah,
that's why it's the only one I've written down because that's going to win it absolutely hands down.
Yeah, absolutely. So that is it, folks. That is us. We'll be back, as I say, next Monday, covering 2 games. So we'll have to we'll have to watch our time that night because obviously the main pod starts at 1:30. So we'll have to watch. All of us have to time keep that night just to be sure because we don't obviously want Martin, thinking what they're stepping into his toes and stuff like that. But we'll be back next Monday with the women's show at 6:30.
The men don't have a game next weekend. We'll take as much time as we want.
Perfect.
I can say that. I know Martin won't watch this, so I can say that.
Depends where it goes home. We might be done in 15 minutes, or we might take an hour. Depends.
We might not show up at all.
Result pending, I suppose. But yeah, thank you very much, Car.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. Demi, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Wilf.
As always, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Demi. Thank you, Car.
Absolutely. Well, as I say, we'll be back next Monday at 6:30. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon.